Hello everyone. Today we are going to see how to build our own container. Let's get started with understanding the differences between the container and the image. Images are read-only, whereas the container are non-persistent. That means whatever the data we are going to save in the container, it will not available that data for the host or for the other containers for the future requirements. Let's say example, I have created my container. I have done all the configuration, and maybe later on I need the same configuration on other machine. It's not possible to bring that because that data only reside with that container will not going to be shared with other container. Then what are the different options to make it available? The option one is that we can use a volume, and that volume is going to be shared by other container. So in Docker container system, the single volume can be mounted on the different containers and they can read, write, they can share data. That is one possibility. But other possibility is that we can create an image and store that whole configuration on the Docker Hub. So maybe in future, if we require to use the same configuration, we can download that image and deploy the container. And in that deployed container, we'll get all the configurations, we'll get all install applications or environment, everything whatever we have set up. So let's assume we have created a database server on that container, let's assume. And maybe later on down the line, 3 years, something happened and that container got deleted. In that case, we'll not have the data available because that data is only live with that container. It cannot be saved somewhere else by default. So in that case, definitely we have to save that data on some persistent devices by using the volume concept in the Docker container. Another use case, let's say example, I have done my configuration. I have installed Java, I have set the environment, I have installed the tool inside that. Now something happened and that container got deleted, or that current container having these issues. In that case, it will create a long problem because we need to again create a configuration, install the application and all. So if we do our configuration, if we do our installation at the same point when you think everything is completed, create an image. Once you create an image, that whole configuration is going to be freeze in the form of read-only image, and that read-only image can be used multiple times to deploy the same environment, same application. Today we are going to see in our lab how we can create our own image. All right. So to do that, first we are going to create an container by using some image. So let's take example to create a container. So first I'm just checking whether the images are available. So I have a lot of images. So we'll use one of the image to create our container. So we'll use Docker run command to create container. We'll use IT, and the name of container will say con1 is container1 --- rm. So this is a new flag we are using in our lab. So what this new flag rm means? Rm means terminate after use. So as long as our work is completed, it will going to terminate the container. All right. So in that case, what will happen? Whatever the changes we have done is going to be no longer available, because current container will be get deleted, or it will be immediately get terminated. So let's say example, if I run the command apt hyphen get update, so it will update the Ubuntu machine. So update is over. Now let's install another package. Let's example git. So it will install the git package on this Ubuntu system. So here we'll say yes to continue. Now git installation is completed. Let's install one more package, Python. So why we are doing this? Just to test in real case or in real scenario how time consuming process to do the installation, do the configuration, and repeat the same task for multiple times. So now here what we are going to do, in this case, I mean, we have already used the option rm while creating the container. So definitely once we exit from this container, this all effort, all the time which we have dedicated to install these two packages, it's going to be waste. The reason behind that is all the configuration is not going to be stored anywhere. So solution to this problem is always create an image for a safer site, always commit this container and create an image. So once we have image, we can use that image multiple times, and that image will have all the configuration, all the packages, same as what we have in the container. So we have done with the installation. Now we'll do the exit. So as we did the exit, it will immediately terminate that. So we can see that here one container is running, but it's not our ID. Our ID is 7005. All right, so it's not running. Let's check whether it's present in not running mode, that is in exit mode. So it's not present, so it got deleted, and our effort also got deleted. So why we did this? So reason or the idea behind this is, if container get deleted, then data will be not available. So there is no possibility that your data is available but container is not there. Until and all we create an image. So if we create an image, definitely if container also get deleted, not an issue. All the configuration is stored safely, and that we can use to deploy the number of other containers. All right. So now let's again do the same command without rm. So this will going to create a container with the same name, con1, and same machine, Ubuntu operating system with latest stack. All right, so we got an access. So we'll run the same command, apt-get update. So it will take few minutes to get it updated. All right, we successfully updated the Ubuntu. Let's run other command to install git, and same time we'll install Python. So these two packages we are installing. So it will take few minutes to get in this package is installed. All right, so both the packages is installed. We'll check the version to make sure installation completed successfully. So we can see the version of Git, that is 2.7, and version of Python. All right, so both the packages is installed. We have done the installation. Now for the testing purpose, so I will create a file touch1 and I will do ls, so I can see that file is created. All right, now we'll do the exit, and in docker ps will not get this container because we have done the exit. Now what means non-persistent? Non-persistence not means that data will be not in the container, it will be. So for let's example, if I do ps-a and grep this id, so it's there, but it's not running because we have just do the exit. Now non-persistent means the data will be not available if container get deleted. So we need to take care of it. It not means that data will be not available inside the same container where we have did our work. So on this container we have just did our work. So if we go on this container, the data will be there. So I do ls, so my file is there. If I do git hyphen version, so git version is showing, that means git is there. Now if I test python, so python is also there. So if I reboot the host machine, or if I turn off the docker and again restart the daemon of the docker, it will not going to create any problem with this container. But if something happen, or some you accidentally deleted, or you do not require something like that, then all the configuration will not get from other way. It will not going to be saved on the docker. So that's the reason we were discussed that if you want to save something for persistent, or you want to store store the data or configuration from long, then we have to use the volume. So volume allow us to write the data on the host machine, that means on this machine. On this machine I can write the data from this container. So if this container get deleted, still I will have the data on the base, so I can spawn the new container or create a new container with the same data I can attach or show on that container. So that is one possibility. But in this session we are learning to build the image. So what is the role of image now here? So we have a container with the name con1 and with the id last is 54d7. So we can use this container to create our own image. All right, so what is the advantage of having our own image? So let's see our image. So our image, local images are multiple images, but this container, that is 54d7, we have deployed from Ubuntu latest image. So Ubuntu latest will not have the changes. So let's say example, something happened and this container is not working, or this container is not available, then we'll have the option to install the OS from this image. That we can do, but will not have the installation of Git and Python and em update. All right, so this is a base image, read-only image, but we have used this image, we have created our container, we have did the customization. Now again we have to bring this container in this form, in the form of image. Why we are bringing it? Because we cannot use the container to create another container. So if you want to save the data for long, if you want to upload that data or that whole application with configuration on the GitHub or on the Docker Hub, we can write down the build command to create an or to build an image. All right. So, but here first we have to do the commit. So commit will create a image for us. So command is pretty simple: docker commit, and then the docker commit, and then the container ID. So in our case, the container ID is this, and here the interesting thing to give the proper name. So we have to first check our repository name. So my repository login name on the Docker Hub is Ajay CS. So I will use the name Ajay CS. Why I am using it, just I will explain you after this command. So I will give my name test git python :v1. Now why we use this format? If you want to upload this image on the Docker Hub in future, then we should have the first username before the image. All right. If we would not have the username before image, the Docker Hub will not going to accept this image. It will throw an error. It will not going to accept. So that's the reason we have given the same naming convention. Now the next point is, once you created an image, you have to upload that image on the Docker Hub. So to upload the image on the Docker Hub, we have to use docker push command. But before push, we have to make sure we have logged in into our account to upload this image. So we'll say docker login. So it will say the username. So my username is this, and my password is I have entered. Now it will say login success. That means you successfully logged in. Now we have to use the docker push to push this local image into the public repository. Now we have to copy this name, and also we require v1. Now it's uploading the image on Docker Hub. So few things to note. First, we have created an container from Ubuntu image. After that, we have made the changes into that container, and we have created an image from that container. So all the configuration which inside that container is, now it's writing into the image, and the image name is test_git_python. Now this image will have all the installation of Git, installation of Python, plus updated Ubuntu. So if anyone require to use this kind of installation, or they need pre-install Git, pre-install Python or something, so they can just type this name while deploying the container. So once our upload is completed, then we'll see how we can use this public image to deploy our local container on this system. All right, so we have successfully uploaded our image on the Docker Hub. So let's check our images, and we'll remove the local image. So for that, we'll use docker remove, that is RMI for image, and the image name. So sometime we will get error that no such image, because we have to give the version name as well. So it's got deleted. Now we do not have any local images, okay, with the name test underscore git underscore python. Now we'll remove our container also, which we have created by the name con1. So we'll say docker. After that, we'll check all container with the option A, and we'll do grep con1. So here we have that container. So this container, let's example, as of now we not require. So we'll say docker rm remove, and anything we can give the name or id. So it says it's running, so we need to stop it. So we'll say stop, and now we can remove it. So it's successfully removed. Now if we check in list, it will not there, so no output. That means now this container is not available. Now let's example, we want to do the same type of setup or type of job where we require git and python should be installed. So now we do not need to create a fresh ubuntu machine, update it and install the packages and all. What we can do is we can run the docker run hyphen exe hyphen it, and let's say example giving the new con1, and after that, here interesting thing is we have to give the complete name, that is first your login, and after that login means your username, so username, and after that the name which used to create the repository. So in our case we can check from here. So we have created test under, so we have to refresh it because it's not showing here. So it should show. So this is our, we have just created it with the name test underscore git underscore python. So test underscore git underscore python. Now first it will search locally. By default it always search locally. Now what happened, it says no pull access because the version we have not included it. So if you run same command again, it will not going to work. So we have to give the version name v1. So now what says response demo repository exe not found. So here we are not going to do any execution. So run is okay to go without exec. Now what it says, con1 not found. So hyphen name we have to say. So in this way we learn the different error, so that will help us to find out when we actually do the hands-on. So the correct command is docker run hyphen it and hyphen name. Here we have provided. If we missed out this, then it will give the error. So hyphen name and the new name of that container which we are deploying, and after that our login username and slash and the correct image name with tag. So this is a complete command. So now it will download that complete image and create a container with the name newcon, and it will give you the interactive shell. So we'll get the access inside that container. So it will take few minutes to get downloaded. So download completed and we got an access inside that container. Now the very first we'll check whether Git is there or not. So we'll say version, so it's there. And let's check Python version, so it's also there. So all the configuration, installation, exit in that image. Now this image anyone can use if they need Git and Python pre-installed. Alright. Now if we check Docker images, so we'll get the image name here because we have just downloaded it, and the container we can check with the name with the command docker ps -a, and at least we should have the ID or name to search it. So we'll say grep to find out that particular container. So container is there, but we have just exited from that container. So this is how we can create our own image and upload on the Docker Hub and use the same image for multiple purpose without reconfiguring the same thing. Thank you for watching it. Hello everyone, we are going to see more detail how images are the layered image, how images we use in Docker system, how we control the version of the images. So in this video, we are going to see how we use the images, how we create a different layer of images, how we do the version control with the images. In the previous lecture, we have already gone through the managing the image, but this is more advanced topic for Docker image. Let us concentrate a few points of Docker image. Docker image is a snapshot of file system plus some metadata. So including these two, that is a file system and some metadata, we create an Docker image. All right. Image are immutable. That means we can only write the image if we create a container, else these all images are read only, so we cannot write directly on these images. Images are copy on write storage. That means as we discussed, it can be written after creating a container, or we can write on the images by creating layer by layer with the new versions. All the images are unique by hexadecimal ID. So we'll have the hexadecimal ID. So that ID say that this images is a different from the other image. So we are going to see practically how it's look like. And all the images we have the tag, and that tag is very human friendly. So we can attach the tag to each and every image. So tagging the images means later on if you need the older version or new version, so we can identify that image with the tag name. All right, so let's move on the lab side. So here we have a system, and first what we'll do, we'll pull out the images. So before pulling, we'll run the command docker images. So this command will help us to find out what are the images are there. So we can see there are the different images. So as of now, what we'll do, we'll remove some images which is not required. So we'll say docker rmi remove image. So first of all, this we remove. Second, we'll remove this one. So ID is this. All right. Now we'll remove one more image that is sent to us. It's not required as of now. So you are all removing the. First, we'll have to run the Docker images to check the images. So Docker remove If you get like this, we can use -F force option. So some container is running by using this image. So we can say docker ps. So it seems this one. So we'll say docker stop and the ID. So we are stopping that docker machine. Now we'll say remove one. Now it's removed. Again we'll run docker images. Now we have some two images, Laravel and Ubuntu. That's fine. Now we want to pull the latest image of our Docker from our Docker hub, and the image name is Python. So we'll say Docker pull Python, comma latest. So first is trying from the local repository, and then it will download. If it is not on the local repository, it will download from the Docker hub. So trying to find out. So it's trying to find out from local. So it says here trying to pull repository from this, and after that's pulling from docker.io. So this docker.io is from the internet. It's finding from the Docker hub, and it will take a few minutes to get uh, downloaded the Python image. Now Python image is downloading. Let us understand the fundamental. So we'll open Paint to explain this. We'll keep here and we'll have a shape. So currently we have downloaded the Python image. I will write name here, Python image with latest tag. So this we have downloaded. Now the important thing is to understand that this will copy and we'll open Notepad++. We'll say new. I will paste here. So we'll count this. It's total 8. So this Python image which we are downloading, it's a total 8 layers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will draw here 6. Excuse 6, 7. We'll count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 is over. So just we'll take this line and we'll draw one. Excuse for the diagram. So this 8 layer of this image is downloading. Its name is Python. So basically the first layer, when some Python team started, they have started with this layer. All right. So this is a scratch layer. So this is the initial layer which they have started and build up. So this is the number 1. All right. And here and this we called as a scratch. All right. After that, they might did some changes and created a image 2. All right. So this is a number 2 layer. and similarly so forth and so on. They have reached to total number as of now is 9. So if they do some official changes in the image of Python latest, you will find out there will be more layer. You will find out maybe they have the 9 layers or 10 layers. All right. So what we downloaded, we have downloaded this all 8 layers. All right. So we have downloaded this all 8 layers, and we'll say this is a bundle of 8 layers we have downloaded. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create our rewritable layer over here. So this all 8 layers are read only. We cannot make any changes on these 8 layers. So what we can do, we can make the changes on the layer which we have created. So it's our area. So here we are going to do the changes. All right. And once we do the changes, we are going to commit these changes. So the total layer will become 9. So we'll label it to 9. So this will become a ninth layer. All right. So forth and so on. So again, if you push this image in the Docker repository, maybe in under your account, so you will going to push this all. So it will be 8 plus 1 9. So if someday if you want to download, you will be getting one more extra layer, because that is your layer which you have added top of the existing 8 layer. So download of images is completed. So we are going to make the note of these layers in our here. So I will remove this previous one. So completed all. Now what we'll do, we'll try to create a container from this image. So we'll say docker, and we'll use a command run hyphen it hyphen name. We'll say development server 1, development container or server 1, and after that the image name. So our image name is this Python latest. So we'll copy and just paste it here, and we need a shell. So we'll say bin slash bash. Now we have successfully got an access into the shell. We'll try to install some module using pipe. So we'll say pipe install and package name. Let's give the network package name. Now it will install the Python module, and the Python module name is network here. So Python module of network is installed. Let's list it out. So pipe list. So it will list it what are the modules are installed. So here we can see that this module we have installed. So I will just paste it here for our information. Now let's come out of this container. Let's do the commit. So when we do the commit, it will going to save as a image. So now we are going to use the command docker commit, and after that our container name. So if you can look at, our container name is dev, and now what the image we want. Now we want this image should be Python, let's say example version 1. Now we are not talking about latest, we are saying Python version 1. And this, if you are going to save on the Docker Hub, so my username should become first, and then image name and version. So in this way we are committing it. Now image committed successfully. Now we'll push this image on Docker Hub. So we'll say Docker push, and after that complete name of this v1. So we can check that uh, while pushing this image, it's using the different ID. All right. So if we take any ID of this and compare here, we'll say find. So you cannot find because this we have downloaded from the official image of Docker Hub, and this is a local repository which we have pushed. But here it got a number of layers which is already there. So why it's showing already there? But here we not have. One moment, let's check it again. We'll copy this and we'll paste it over here. All right, so no layer here, but here it says most of the layer already exists. So why it's already exists? So if we go on the Python, we go on the Google and then Docker Hub. So here if we log in, maybe highly possible that the image which you have uploaded or pushed, that kind of images is already there. So you can see a lot of Python images already there. All right. So it says layers already exist. So that's fine. Now let's see Docker images. So here we can see here we have the latest and we have the v1, and we have this view latest having this layers, and Python v1 having only one this layer. All right, so this is what we'll write here, already written. So this is a new layer added into this layer. So there is one thing we have to remember: if we download that ID, this ID and this ID is not something similar, because you once it get into local repository, it's create our own IDs, and when you write new image on the local repository, then you will feel that this already IDs are there. It will show that layer already exists. So for us, if you look at this, all layer are exist, but where it exists, because it exists with this Python. All right, so this Python have a number of those layers. Now what we'll do, we have already committed this, so we'll remove the local repository. So we'll say rm docker rmi, and we want to remove this image with the tag v1. We have removed. Now we want to create one Docker using this. We'll say docker run -it, and the hyphen name will say dev2, and name of this v1. So it's going on the internet and finding it. So it said layer already exists, and it's only downloading the layer which is not there. So if you look at, it's downloading only this layer. So we'll copy this all and we'll keep this here. Now you can look, most of the things is matching here. So just I will maximize it, and so as of now on this I will cut it and we'll paste it here. Now see, the first layer, it got match here. So layer already exists. So So this is the image of Python which you have pulled first time, and after you worked, you got an one added layer, this one. When you again pushed, that time this got same layer. So this area layer already exists, but might you have the different name of that layer. But when you push this on the Docker Hub, so it's not going to save this all data. It's ignored because it's already exists on your Docker Hub, because already you have the Python one. So that's the reason it says layer already exist, already exist, already exist. See, almost all the layers already exist, right? Only the last layer is added. So this layer is total 8, but this one is 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9, one more layer you have added, that is this one. And rest of this layer you just worked on the Python official image. So that's the reason this already layers are exist. You have just modified on this layer. All right. Now here we came into the Python 2, which is using this layer. I mean, which using all 9 layer. It's not using 8 layer. So definitely it's created from the new image. So it should have the package which we have installed. So we'll say pip list. So in pip we should get the package which we have installed on this layer. So it should have the network module. So here we go. So it's having the network module. What we have did, what the changes we have did, is successfully committed, and it's showing in the 9th layer. Now one more change we'll do. We'll do pip install. We'll say IPython. So we have asked to install IPython on the next container, and the next container using this layer. So now after completing this, we are going to commit it and add one more layer, that is 10th layer. Successfully we have installed. Now let's check it. Pip list. So while doing the list, it should show us the installed package. So we have now number of installed modules of Python. So we'll go and create a image of it. So we'll say docker commit. Now what we have to commit is we have to commit the dev to, and where we have to commit, in which images. So we have to commit in this image, but we'll say version 2. All right. So now day 2 is going to be create another image. The image name will be again same, but it will create a version another. So now how it's look like in this schematic. So we'll say here one more layer. Now this is our v2, and the below one is our v1. So here v1. All right. So for the Python image, now they have Python image is residing here, but on Python image you have two versions. One is v2, another is v1, and the Python version is residing on here. All right. So how it will look like, you can say like this. The same diagram, just I will maximize it, and just here will showcase it. Now the same diagram, it will look like this. Here your 8 layers. Now here is your new layer, version 1, and here is your version 2, like this. So and this all is which we have created. So v1 and v2, that's it. All right. If you ask to deploy v1, so it will going to deploy this and this all 8 layer. If we ask to deploy v2, it will ask only this one. This 8 layer will be common for v1 and v2. All right. Now We have successfully created a v2. Now let's push it. So docker push, and after that complete name, and where we have to save it in v2. So we'll copy this, and now interesting thing is that most of the thing you will get already. See, already existed, already exist, already exist, already exist. All the layers are already exist. Only this layers is new. That is a 10th layer, right? And but rest of the layer is already exist. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 layer is added. But in our case, in diagram, uh, be sure that this 10th layer, that is v2, is using v1 as well. So this v2 is sitting top of it. So we can say that it use a all 8 layer plus 9th layer, 10th layer of v2. So if you ask to install python colon v1, so it will install this 9 layer. But if you install to go for v2, then it will install this 8 layer plus v1, then you will get the v2. So in v2, as we discussed, we'll have the new packages, new modules also, that is ipython. So here in v1, as we'll have what are the things we'll have in the v1. V1 will have only the network model plus core Python, which is in the 8 layer. But in V2, we'll have network plus IPython. So these two packages will be there. So that's the reason we are saying that it's a V2 is a 10th layer. It's use 8 layer plus also it's use 9th layer, because we have used this image to create a container, and top of that we have did a modification and committed it, because it's not completely using only 8 layers. It uses a 8 plus 1 9 and its own IPython 10. So if you want to use version 2, you will get all 10 layers. All right, so we have already committed it. So we'll say a docker images. So here we can see, now we'll remove this all. So docker images, docker rmi remove. So we want to remove v2. So what it says error, because we need to add the version as well. So v2 will remove v1. So someone is using, let's try by using -f. So say removed. All right, now we'll say docker pull. Now we have option whether we want only network module or we want network plus IPython. So as we discussed, if you take IPython, it will use 9th layer plus 10th layer. So let's take v2. So we'll take v2. So our name is cs colon v2. So now it's take few minutes to get downloaded. So when you actually pull means you are taking. Why it's taking already exists? Because most of the thing you have into the Python. If you remove this, then it will complete download. So it will take more time. Same thing while pull also. So if you already pulled this thing is already existed, that's fine on the local. But when you push it on your Docker Hub, if all the base image is already there, like for in my case, if you look at, I have already Python. So all the 8 layer, I do not have to again push it. So that's the reason it say already exist. So in case if I have the 9th layer also, then it will remove one layer also. It will just push it the 10th layer. That's it. Now already we have concluded that. Let's check this image. Now we have pulled v2. So we'll say docker run -it and hyphen name. I like to give dev prod 1, something like this, and the image name v2. That's it. Now here we'll say pip list. So they see we got IPython, we got network, because it's included the v1 as well as the v2. All right. So anytime you can play with these images. So if you remove, let's say example, one layer, this one. So what will happen? So you will not get this layer over there. So you will get the benefit of having the IPython in the v2. You will not get the v1. So if you remove v2 and v1, then only 8 layer will be there, this 8 layer. So same way you can create number of custom images, and you can keep a track of it by knowing whatever the layer we have and whatever the layer we have committed, whatever the layer we have pulled. So see, as we discussed, when you are pulling out the images, Docker images, it is very important what you have. So if I have the Python, definitely I can go ahead use of 8 layer. Now if I have this all total 10 layers, all right, this 10 layer top of I build next layer, because already I have the network and IPython, I can make a use of it. So thank you for watching it. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about Docker networking. Docker networking allows the container and the host to communicate each other, but also Docker networking allows the container to communicate outside the Docker host. So Docker container can easily access any internet site. Docker host can easily allow all the container to communicate with each other. Any application of the Docker container can be easily accessed outside of the Docker host from any network. So Docker and IP tables, basically very important relationship between them, because Docker host uses an IP table to maintain all the rules for the Docker containers. So whatever the port we are going to expose, this all the entry of port expose is going to be written in the IP table. So that happen automatically. So we do not have to write any IP table rules for Docker containers. So in this slide, we are going to see how Docker host write the rule for us. So first we'll take few theory and then we'll start with the lab. So here, if you can look, IP tables -l, this command is going to give all the rules which is by default present. So after that, we are doing here just saving that rule into one file, and after that we are creating one container, and this container is exposing the port of SSH on 4x2 for the Docker host. So if you access the Docker host on 4x2, you will get connected with a Docker container which name is Python :2.7. This is a tag -slim, and after that we are asking for bin bash. So this is a port expose. So we have exposed the port of SSHD on 4x2s on the Docker host. All right, so this we are going to see practically. And after that, doing this, we are saving this all the rules into the new file called as after, and we are comparing these two files, before and after. So we'll get a one extra line here, and this says that Docker host automatically added one entry for us into the IP tables, and this IP table says that allow everyone who's asking for the connection on the port 4x2s on the Docker host. So you can say that this SSH rule is added for this container. All right. So let's do the practical. So we'll use this host machine. All right, and let's first run Docker command to check, we have Docker images. So Docker images. So we are going to use this image to build our container. So before that, we'll use Docker iptables -l. So this is the rule. So we are going to save in the file called as before. All right. So we have done that. And now let's create a container for us. So Docker run -it, and we'll give the name node1, and we'll ask for port expose. So this port 4x2 is our Docker host ports, and this 2 is node1, that is container port. And after that, we are going to use the image. So we need the image name, and the image name is Ubuntu. So we'll take that one, and tag is very important. So we'll use the tag, and so image name and tag must be separated by colon. And after that, we'll ask for bin/bash. All right. So it says unable to find locally. Why it's not able to find locally? So let's correct like this. Still it says unable to find locally. So let's rerun. So we have the image here. So if we get something like this, so we'll ask go by image ID. So let's try this one. So it seems this image may be not present here. So what it says, error image node1. So it's not a problem of image. So we'll keep that line like this. I think here we have to include the name of Docker. So if we do the syntax error, it will give something error like this, and we get into the trouble. So the correct syntax is this. So --name node1, and after that, the image name was correct. Let's run first command apt-get update. So this will add the updates. So once we have updated, so what we need is to check the IP address of this Docker container system, and after that we have to check whether OpenSSH server is running. And because we have exposed the OpenSSH server port, that is 22 on 4x2 on the Docker host machine. So this will take more few seconds to get it done. So we have to wait for a while. Now we have done with this. Now we'll check IPRL, and it says IP command is not found. So let check if config. So if config is not working, so let's install the appropriate package. So we'll say apt-get, and after that we'll say the install net-tools. So this net-tools have multiple network related utilities. So this will going to be installed in a few minutes. So it's got installed fast. And one more package we need to check the IP address is IP root and 2. So this package is also important. So this will going to install on our container system. One more package for ping, because if you type ping command, it will say ping command is not found. So we'll say IP utils-ping. So this package going to install, and it will allow us to ping any one system by using the ping command. So it's like already installed. That's great. Now we need to install uh, SSH server. So we'll say open SSH hyphen server. So this package is required. So it will take a few minutes to get installed. So OpenSSH server is installed successfully. Now for doing some, maybe want to edit the file. So if we do vi, so it says vi command not found. So that's the reason let's install the vim as well. So if you want to make any changes in the file, so vim will be available on this container system. Now vim is also installed, so most of the important utility we have installed. Now if we check iprl, so we can see that our ip is 172.17.0.2. That's fine. Now what is important for us to start the sshd server? So we'll say etc in it init.d and sshd. We'll say status, and it says so the daemon is ssh, not sshd. So it says it's not running, so we'll start it, and now we'll check status again. Now sshd is running, and that's good. Now we'll check, we'll take another session because we have not started in the background mode with a -d, so otherwise it will get disconnected. Now what is very important, we have exposed the port, so we'll say IP tables, all right, -l, and we'll save this in one file after. Now we have first, initially before exposing the port, we have saved that output of IP table -l in before, and now after exposing the port and starting the SSHD, we have saved the IP table entry in after. Let's see the difference between these two files. What is the difference? So we can see here we got an accept TCP IP anywhere for this IP by using TCP and destination port is SSH. So now anyone can able to connect on this IP, which is a container IP. Now let's try to connect it. So we'll say first we'll check the host IP because we are going to connect through host. Any one of the IP we can use because it exposed on in any one IP we can use. So we'll say SSH. Let's use this IP, and here we have to provide the specific port number. So we'll say 4 times 2s and this IP. So it will ask for password. So here we have not set the password, so we'll come on the container system and set the password for the root, and I have done with that. So I will cancel the session and try to re-log in. And now what it says, we need a password of this. So let's me try again. So it seems some issue with password. Port number is correct and IP is correct. Why it's not taking the password of root user? Let's try another IP. You want to connect? Yes. So it's not taking the password. So what we'll do, we'll come out by using Control D. So we have exited, and now we'll rerun it, and we'll check if there is any issue with login and logout. So what it says, we do not have to create because it's already there. So we have to start it again. So we'll say docker start, and name is node1, and we have to give bin bash. So it started. Now we'll take the console exe -it. If we need in the background, we'll start in the background. Now let's try again. What it says, post refused. So what's port refused? Let's check whether port is there or not. So we'll say docker ps, and this is forwarded. That's fine. And this is forwarded of Ubuntu system which is running. Image name is fine. Node1 is fine. So we have updated the password, and we are trying it with the updated password, but still it shows permission denied. All right, so we'll come on the container, and we'll go in the edit mode of etc ssh and sshd underscore conf file, because we are trying from the root user. So by default, root user is not permitted to log in. So we'll comment this line, prohibit it password, and we'll say here permit root login s, and we'll update it. And here we need to restart the service. So we'll say restart, and now we'll try once again. We'll cancel it and try to update it password. Oh wow, so we got an access into the container by using the port forwarded, that is on 222. We use the port time 2, and we use the host IP. So as we give the IP and this port number, it redirect us to on the container. All right, so we'll come exit from here, and we'll say the command netstat on the host -nltup, and we'll say grep and this port number. So here we can see that this port is forwarded, and it's listening on all IPs of this. So let's say if we have another IP, so we'll just replace it out, and we'll give another IP, any one IP. So it should get on this IP as well. Let's give the password. Awesome. So we are getting the container on any one IP of the host, and we have checked how this port forwarding works. Thank you for watching it. Hello everyone. Today we are going to see Docker networking, and in that how we access the container using Docker networking. So when we install Docker, it's created 3 networks automatically. The first network we called as a bridge, the second network we called as a host, and the last network which automatically created is called as a none. So bridge play a very important role for whole networking system in Docker container, whereas the host is only have the importance for the Docker host machine. So it's not have more responsibility doing the networking with containers. And none is a network we can use in case we do not have to allow any container to use network. So we can use the none network so that container will not able to communicate with any other devices. Let's say example, how we can provide the specific network. By default, when we start the container, it uses a bridge network. All right. But we have an option to change that. Let's say example, I want to assign the none network to any container. So we'll use the option flag hyphen hyphen network equals to none. So that container will not get a network. All right. And here we can see that Docker 0 is a bridge. So this bridge is, in our case, is Docker 0. By default, the bridge name is Docker 0 in Docker container. All right. So let's say example, what will be the complete command if you want to assign the any none network to some particular device or some particular container. So Docker run hyphen IT. So we are running in detached mode. So hyphen D hyphen hyphen network equals to none. And after that, name of that container. So here our name is node 6 and the image name bin bash. So we successfully logged in, but here you can see that we are not able to connect with Ubuntu because network is disconnected because we have assigned in none mode. So here this container will not able to communicate with any of the site or any of the host machine or any of the container systems. All right. So let's see more about bridge. So to list down all the networks, so we'll give the command docker network list. So here we can see that 3 networks are available for us. So now we want to check how basically this communication happens. All right. So if we give command if config on the Docker host, so we'll get all types of connections over here. So we can check that what are the different interfaces are here. So the first one is the Docker 0, which is a bridge, and it's have the default IP 172.17.0.1. All right. So this is the bridge IP, and it uses the subnet mask of 255.255.255.0, whereas we have other interfaces which is present below to that. So this interfaces ENP03 and ENP08 are my virtual NIC on the Docker host, and apart from that we have few more NICs here. LO is a virtual one, so by default most of the systems by default will have the LO. So that LO is loopback, that so we'll not concentrate on that. But here the important thing one is this NIC. All right, this is a virtually got created automatically. So we'll learn more about that, how it's got created and what is this. And this one is VR bridge 0. So we have 2 bridges. One is Docker 0 and VRB 0. So how we'll check that? So we'll say brctl show command. So it will show us the bridges. So here you can see that only we have these 2 bridges. Rest of are not bridge. So basically what is bridge, that we are going to discuss more in this session. But here we can see that this interface is attached to this bridge. So if you look at this one, VETHACH4FC47. So this interface is attached to this, and this is a interface for the container system. So basically this interface is going to attach to the container system, so they will get the networking. All right. So let's see that whether we have any running container. Of course one will have, because one here interface is up. So we'll say Docker PS. So here we can say that Ubuntu is running. Let's get the access of Ubuntu. So we'll say Docker exec -it and the name of the machine. So here we have the name to is node 1, and we need a shell of that. So bin/bash. So we got an access, and if we type if config, so we can see that we have the ETS0. Now this interface and this interface are naming are different, but they are attached. So now completely how it's look like, that we are going to see. We'll come out from this and we'll say IPRL. So for Docker 0, the IP is this. All right. Now, this is connected where? So that we have to find out. So basically, if we take this one, so it will connect it to the main network. This is the network of 192.168.56. This one, 101. So we know that Docker 0 connected with one of the interface of our system. Now let's rerun brctl show command. So it will show us number of bridges, and we also see that some container is running and it's have one interface. All right. So now this whole networking look like. So for that, we'll take the help of MS Paint to understand this. So first we'll draw this, and this is our Docker 0 bridge. Docker 0 bridge, and so here, if you look at, we got an IP 172 dot. So this IP 0.1. All right. Now this IP will communicate with our virtual NIC because we are operating on the Oracle VirtualBox. So we got an virtual NIC. So this will get connected with the virtual NIC, and that NIC is, we need to give the name. So here ENP0S3. All right, and it's have the IP 192.168.56.103. All right, and here we have the IP table and NAT to communicate between these two. So by default, Linux host machine use IP tables and NAT. So these two automatically get connected. Now, interesting things start here. So when we connect, when we create a one container, let's say example node 1. So this is node 1. Let's create here one interface. So by default, when we create a container, it will attach one interface to us. So let's say example ENP0S3 here also. So this ENP0S3 is attached for the container node 1, and this is a interface which container is going to use to communicate. But at the same time, when we create a container, it's added one virtual interface on that bridge, and that start with VETH. So similar like this. So just I will open it and will give the command if config. So this name VETH, ACH, so forth and so on. So something like this will get name here, and these two get connected. Let's say example you spawn one more container. So similarly, same way node 2, let's example. All right, so it also get one interface attached. So here it will be again enp0s3, and similarly for this interface also on the bridge, it will create a virtual interface with the name same here, VETH ACH, so forth and so on, and these two get connected. So this is how the whole networking works. So when you keep creating number of container, it will keep creating virtual NICs, and container itself create one virtual NICs, and these two NICs by default get connected. When it get by default connected, when you use the Docker 0, if you use network equals to none, so this Docker bridge is not will come into the picture and will not able to access it. All right. So now let's go on our box. So we'll go on the box here. All right. Now, how we'll verify whether our networking is connected? So we'll first verify this all here. Now we have only one virtual NIC. Now let's create one more container, Docker images. So we hit the command Docker images. Let's create one more container. So Docker run -it -d, and we'll create one more. Let's say example --name equals to node 2, and the image name is this one, CentOS :latest. All right. So now it says already their name, so not an issue. Let's change it to 5. It's got created and running. So we'll say Docker ps. Now we'll check output if config. So we'll see here now we got one more interface, so which we discussed. So initially we got one, now we got another one. All right, and this another one is for the node 2. All right. So in this way, this whole networking take place. So we have to just keep spawning the number of container. It will keep creating number of virtual NIC for us, and it will attach the container interface to our bridge interface. All right. Now, important thing is if someone want to create a container without a network. So as we discussed here, we can add -network equals to none, and once we give this, and after that I will just make it another name. See, now it's created, and we'll say if config. Now if we check this, we have 2 only. It's not added one more because we have not added that container with any bridge. So that's the reason for this machine there is no networking, because bridge has been disconnected or bridge is not assigned to this container. All right. So in this way, we see that how the whole traffic flow. So every traffic come to the bridge, and from bridge it will go outside by using the virtual NIC ENP0S3 in our case. All right. Thank you for watching it. Hello everyone. Today we are going to see Docker networking, and we are focusing on linking the containers. In this part, we shall take a look how to link the Docker container. By linking the Docker container, we are able to provide a secure channel which the container can communicate to each other. All right. So in this section, we are going to discuss how two containers can be linked so they can internally communicate. So let's say example, first we going to launch a popular database called as Redis, which is a NoSQL data structure server, and we'll try to create another container, and that Redis will communicate with another container by using the linking. All right. So let us first pull the Redis image. So we'll say docker pull Redis. All right. So it will pull the Redis image for us, and we'll wait for a while to get it complete. Now successfully we have pulled the Redis. Now let's launch the Redis container by doing the command docker run -d -name, and we'll give the name of this container as Redis1. So this will be our container name, Redis1, and the image name is Redis. So this will going to create a container, and it will start in detached mode. So when we say docker ps, so we can see that Redis is started, and it started on the port 6379. So this container is successfully created. Now let us create another container in link mode. So here we'll see how to create another container in link mode. So we'll say docker run -it, and we'll use the option --link to create the another container in link mode, and the first name should be our source container name. So the source container name we have created as Redis1. So we can just scroll up, and we can just cross check it out. So we'll say here this is a Redis1. All right. So we given the same name, and another is the optional name or alias we can say. So here we can give any name. So just we'll say Redis and -name, the another container name. So we'll say Redis client. So here is a typo, so we'll correct it. Redis client 1 is our the another container name. All right. So once this container name is over, we have to write down the image name from where we are going to create this container. So we'll say busybox. So it will download the busybox from repository, and it will going to create a busybox, but also it will link the Redis1 with this busybox. So we got successfully entered into the busybox. Now the important thing need to be check the host file. So we'll check cat/etc/hosts. So this file here we can see the one entry by default added. This is the IP of Redis, and we can directly ping to the container Redis, and it's pingable. So this is how we can link the one container to the another. So here will be the secure communication between this database server and this server. So busybox server, which name is Redis client. So Redis client can easily communicate with the Redis server. Now here, if we give the command set to check the environment variable, and we'll just grep it out the all the variable of Redis. So we are on the Redis client, and see on the Redis client all the variable is important variable are set, right? And if we read the file cat/etc/hosts, so we can check that the IP address of this Redis server is 172.17.0.1, and see this is the IP which is coming from the Redis server. So all the important variable is easily accessible to the Redis client, and easily able to access the Redis server, right? This busybox, that means our Redis client, can be easily accessed to the Redis server, and between this is a secure communication. So we achieved this by using linking the two container. Thank you so much for watching this video.